He didn't
Oh my
speak.
God. I don't know if I want this to go onto the podcast. So, Wayne, you may have to edit this out. Okay, I'm so glad Wayne's going to edit this. Welcome back to Beyond the Facade podcast. It's your favorite ghoul, Sabrina.
And I'll be the goblin today, Doña Junta. Doña Junta from Swami Chronicles. Welcome back, everybody. And we're excited. We brought a new episode today. It's very interesting.
A new subject matter. We thought we'd keep it lighthearted, you know?
Yeah, I guess it's lighthearted, but there's some history in all these places that we're going to talk about. It's just places we haven't gone to in a while.
Of course. And a little unknown secret that you guys are in on now is that Doña Junta and I always get our best ideas in the car when we're on adventures. And we just thought of this idea and we thought it might, be fun and you guys might have a little laugh at our expense, but we're happy to bring it to you today.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about dive bars, local dive bars here, here in the harbor area. Paisa bars, dive bars, I guess either or. And the ones that are here in the harbor area that we know about, and either because they're known or we have gone there. And we're going to bring up some from downtown LA as well, because they're known, and just some of the little bit of history on the ones in downtown. But when we started talking about this, we mentioned that when you first turn 21, it's like so exciting to go to the bar and like start going to these places. And this mostly took place in our 20s, which now looking back, it's like, wow, like, I mean, I could see why when you're in your 20s, it's just like the fun thing to do all the time, right? So yeah. We're not alcoholics. We don't even drink anymore, like that much.
Not like that. We enjoy the taste. We're not drinking to get fucked up.
No, none of that. So it was pretty cool, like just talking about it. And what we did is we actually drove around to all of these bars to just talk about it while looking at the facade of the bars. And we're gonna try to insert photos when we edit of the places that we went to go see. So we went to go see the facade, and then one of the last places we went to, we actually went in to get the full experience again. So we'll kind of go down the list.
Yeah, it's a pretty long list.
But we kind of got the ones that were more significant, because I mean, there's always like holes in the walls and paisa bars, but some of them we just know about, but we never went in, or it was just like a one-time thing. It was like, nah, this place is like Creepville.
Yeah, and some of them were, but that's the best place to get the drinks at. We talked about this.
Right. So we started off in our favorite city, Wilmington. Of course.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's like we don't even live there, but it's like we live there.
I would say it's the closest thing that we have to like Los Angeles, because it's a pretty big city and there's a lot of things that you could get there that you can't necessarily get everywhere else. And it's just kind of like the beak end of where the Banning house is at, and a lot of, teenage memories. So it's a culmination of all kinds of things.
And if you heard the podcast before, I always have said Wilmington is like my second home in a sense, because I just had a lot of friends in history there. But anyhow, we drove down Avalon, and one of the first bars I remember that was like a straight paisa bar. Never gone in there to have a drink or anything, but it was right next door to Slangwich, and it was called Dino's Bar. And it was a paisa bar with the dirty curtain in the front that flaps when somebody goes in. I
Ew.
know, I know you guys know those.
Ew.
Paisa bars were known to have the cortina. So that one had the curtain, and that one is closed down now. Pandemic kind of threw it out of business. So it was just one that we seen it, passing by.
Did you ever go in there?
Yeah, we went in there just to we would go in there just to kind of pretty much observe and go in there to see how it looks.
Yeah.
And that one was of course, some bicycle bars are humongous inside. It was huge. It had a loft area, and on top they had the bands will play, the banda will play, and it had a long rectangle bar with that. Remember that 1960s that pale blue color that was popular?
Yeah.
Everything was 4 layers of paint, and it had the smell of Clorox, that kind of where they try to clean it, but you could still smell the stench.
Yeah.
So it was one of those, you could smell it when you kind of go in there, and they had the curtain and the bar stools, and there's regulars in there and whatnot. So I always just wanted to go in just to look and be maybe I was the creep going in there to look. And they were the ones what's this person doing here? But so I only gone in to look, because when we were at Slangwich, we would just we were right there.
Yeah.
The next bar is down the street in Wilmington, and we gone in there one time for Dia de los Muertos. It's like a Wilmington institution. It's called the Foc'sle. Which did you hear about the Foc'sle before?
I don't recall, honestly. I don't recall. No, I mean, I know I passed by there, but I don't think I've ever looked twice until we went into there that day.
I think it's on Avalon and D Street, and it's been there since God knows when, years, probably the 60s or 50s. So that one's significant because it's still open. It's the type of bar that opens at 6 a.m. type of bar. So there's regulars there. I don't know if it still does, but it's significant because there's these murals behind the bar and along where all the tables are at. And the murals are by an artist named Frank Bowers. And he was a famous artist, 30s, 40s, 50s, I believe. And he in that bar, he painted these oil paintings of it's kind of scantily clad women and kind of images like that of sailors and stuff like that for the bar. So it kind of went with the ambiance of the bar and the people that were there, because it's kind of a longshoreman.
Yeah. Port town.
And maybe it was a sailor bar at one time, right?
Possibly.
Yeah. So, and those paintings are still there. And when I was reading some history about him, I guess the rumor is that he painted that to pay his tab, his alcohol tab. Yeah. I don't know if that's a fact, but that was what
I like to believe that's true. That's kind of fun.
Yeah. And he painted those in his later years, more in the 1960s. So it was his later years. And we just seen right now that he's buried at Sunnyside, one of her favorite cemeteries.
Yeah, we should go and pay tribute.
Yeah. So after that, we drove down the street to some other bar that you said, what was it called? It's not there no more.
I don't remember. You
said the name.
Did I say the name? Or what city are we talking about?
Wilmington. It was on PCH by Cochinitos.
Oh, it was 747 bar.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a bar for 5 minutes. I lived on McDonald. This was on McDonald. And it was right there in the corner, right across from Cochinitos. And it was there for 5 minutes. And I don't remember how many years, maybe 2. It wasn't there for long. It was definitely a Wilmington spot, longshoreman spot. A sports bar, but not exactly sporty, but everyone in there was wearing some sort of sport jersey. Very appropriate for the harbor area.
So it didn't really have any significant architecture, or it wasn't that old?
No, none at all.
It was just a dive bar.
Just kind of a dive bar, yeah.
Yeah. And then there was the other one by the bathhouse. So Wilmington does have a bath. It did have a bathhouse, which got shut down with the pandemic. So it's just so weird how all these businesses got shut down. But just real quick, because I know the subject is not bathhouses, but a bathhouse is basically a place where you go shower and you do go to the gym, but you also kind of low key pay, and it's for gay men to go and meet other men, and they rent little rooms with showers and like steam rooms and gyms, and they had that since the 1950s or 60s because that was where the gay community, if they dated, they didn't have, it wasn't, they had to keep it low key. Excuse me. So the bathhouses popped up in various parts of the city in order to date, right? Because it was very taboo. And so that bathhouse is shut down now. I don't even know the name of the bathhouse. It has a weird name. It had a number name, something like that. But that's been there forever, and it's gone now. But across the street from the bathhouse, remember there was a other little bar you said you had gone into, and now it's like a hall?
I did. On this journey that you're taking with us, I don't know if I should use my friends' names.
You can make up a name.
We'll call this person V. This person is V. I had a best friend that I went everywhere with, and she was older than I was, so she introduced me to many things, and we used to go hit up Foc'sle Bars. I don't remember too much of it. A lot of that time is a blur, obviously, because as we did this, we realized I was in a lot of dive bars and bars in general in my 20s, a lot more than I'd like to admit. But it was dirty. Had some scantily clad woman behind the bar pouring men drinks, and there was like no other women in there. So I'm sure she made really good tips. And just like you would expect as a woman, and you go in and you get all kinds of people offering to buy you drinks. And we didn't stay for long.
Yeah.
But
you don't gotta get into details.
We got a couple of drinks though.
So Wilmington had those, these little these are talking about really hole in the bar Foc'sle Bars for sure. So, and there are also a lot in San Pedro that we didn't even really get to, but I'm just going to name two: Godmothers and the Indian Room. And the Indian Room has been there since the 30s. Obviously the name, and it had like a stereotypical Indian like heads and decor that was like very mystique at the time, right? They changed the name later on, but that bar was so old. It was amazing. Like maybe not amazing, but it was like shitty inside, but like amazing for historical purposes, like the stuff they had in there. So, and then Godmothers was another kind of old divey bar that is well known as well.
If you live in the harbor area and you've never been to Godmothers, then do you really live in the harbor area?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, where our harbor area listeners at?
Yeah, exactly.
Let us know your Godmother stories.
Yes, please. I'm sure there's many. I have plenty.
Yeah. So after that, we did head to the next city, which is Carson, where we ran into Alexander's Bar and Nightclub.
off Sepulveda.
So you could share about this one. I always seen it there. I don't know anything about it. So if you want to share whatever you like about this Paisa, also nightclub type of thing.
So I didn't go there often. Again, with my friend V. She dragged me along like 7 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant. I don't remember what kid. Oh, I want to say it's probably like 2003, maybe.
Okay.
If I had to guess offhand. And so I'm huge. I'm like 7.5, 8 months pregnant. Have no business being in a bar. I can't drink, but yet I'm there, and we're there. And there's music, and there's like people kind of like, I don't know. It's mainly men. Again, another woman or two behind the bar. with very, little clothing. And I get offered, so many drinks. What is it about pregnant women that it entices men? Is it just like a paisa bar thing? I don't know. Has anyone ever been in the situation where they were like 1,000 months pregnant and then went to a bar with a friend for no reason? I guess just to be out of the house. And I don't know. Don't ask me. It was my 20s. But
Yeah.
even at Dancing Waters or Zona Rosas and San Pedro, which is a nightclub bar thingy, same thing. I went pregnant and I had many people interested in my big old pregnant ass.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a thing for that and you experience it yourself.
At Alexander's bar, the one thing that stands out to me the most is coming out of the club, or I think it's called Alexander's Club.
Oh, yeah.
Is coming out with my friend and her sister and seeing one of the bartenders, the woman, over there in the corner by the car giving a guy, a sexual favor.
Oh my God.
Yes, and I was just like, this is so grimy. And it looks like it's come up over the years, but again, this must have been when my 17-year-old I was pregnant with my 17-year-old. So this has to be like 18 years ago. So
yeah,
it was pretty grimy back then.
But it's still open. It survived. So
it did. And we were going to go in and take a look, but we both said, nah.
It was like 12 noon. I don't know. It was open, but not, I don't know.
Yeah.
So from there, we made our way down PCH we saw two places there. The first one used to be called Ricky Jean's.
Oh my God, Ricky Jean's.
Yes. And we went there once or twice with Wayne, our friend. And it was also a divey bar where you have a jukebox and, it was, I don't know. It was not super significant, but it was just like one of those places that you'd go to randomly.
I went there more than you. I think I brought you guys there. I used to go there a lot with V. And the significant thing about Ricky Jean's, which is not called Ricky Jean's anymore. What is it? Do you remember what it's called now? I forgot what it was called. It's like an Irish name. I forget.
That McGeady's or is that the next door?
McGeady's is next door. I used to go to Ricky Jean's quite often with V.
Ohearns.
Ohearns, okay. Yeah. It's Ohearns on PCH. Mm-hmm. When it was Ricky Jean's, me and V would go early, like we'd drop the kids off to school. And it'd be like 10 o'clock. And we'd go to Ricky Jean's because it was open. Because Ricky Jean's opened at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And they said it was because of the truckers. So the truckers had a place to get something to eat. So they offered food there at certain times and, drink. And I think the most significant story I have there is there was a biker that came in and drank with us. And I had to leave to go pick up my kids from school. We had been there all day, me and V. And at some point, he told me that if he wanted me to come back and drink with him some more, that he would pay for a taxi for me to come back because I refused to drive back. And he paid for a taxi for me to come back, and he paid for drinks for a couple more hours before he left. Yeah, that was some fun times.
And next door to that is another Irish pub, which is interesting, and that was McGeady's.
McGeady's, yeah.
So we went in there right after.
Yeah, my sister introduced me to that bar.
So you had gone there before, me and you?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm telling you, it's when we did our drive, I was in a lot of these places quite often, and that was kind of like where my sister would hang out more in that one, and she introduced me to that one, and then I took you, or we were in that area, so we went to that one next. It was like the homie kickback.
Yeah, that one was like, I remember pool tables. I remember going in there with Wayne and you. Like I told you during our drive, I think they were bumping oldies and there was like some OG type, but I don't know. I don't know if I made that up.
No, it was definitely like more, I wouldn't say like Art Laboe oldies or KRLA oldies, but kind of like 1950s like K-Earth oldies. You know, like when we were young, K-Earth oldies, like Earth Angel and stuff like, you know, like that kind of stuff. There was a mixture of you know, older homies and maybe a sprinkle of couple younger ones and then some random white guys too, like older white guys. And there was definitely a pool table. The bar's not big, like the building. And then it has the main bar across the way, and then it had a little door and you could sit outside.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a cool little spot. And a lot of these spots never charge too much for the alcohol, which was always nice too. Like you can get a beer or a wild drink for like $5 or $6.
And you know, when you're your 20s, your palate, you just want cheap drinks and you'll drink like the nastiest drinks.
Yeah, because you just don't want to stop. You just want to continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, I totally see that.
Quantity over quality back then. And so much has changed.
So the next one we actually just stopped in was the branch office. And you introduced me to that, or you told me about it. I don't remember even us going in.
Yeah.
But this was more recent, but you had gone there back in the day. And just a side note about that, I did see the building was built in 1958. So I thought it would be like 1930s. I felt like it was way older, but it's not as old as I thought.
You know, it gives off that old look because it just looks like an old, dusty building. Like if you're not from the harbor area, you're not a local, you would have no idea that that's even a bar. You would drive right past it. It's off of Torrance Boulevard and Crenshaw, not too far from Crenshaw, right past the train tracks. And you wouldn't even notice it. It just looks like a regular office building on this little cutesy street in Torrance. My sister also introduced me to the branch office, and I have many memories with her and spaghetti dinners. And
they used to smoke in there too.
Yeah, they used to smoke in there. And the pickled eggs, the purple pickled eggs were like their thing. And
the
they're
ghosts
great
too, right?
Oh yeah, there's paranormal activity. So
when did you first find out about that?
About the paranormal activity?
Yeah.
I want to say when I actually felt something there was in 2010 when I was frequenting it quite a lot. I was going with a small group of friends, and if you go into the branch office, it's kind of long, the bar, and it kind of makes like an L shape, like a backwards L. And back in the back room is where the games are at, and next to the outside, and there's definitely activity. It's been years. I can't remember what I felt, but you could feel it. It felt heavy, very heavy back there.
Wow. Yeah, it does have like a weird like corridor for the bathroom and like a little tiny bathroom.
The bathrooms never felt safe every time. And when we went in, I ended up having to use the restroom while I was there. And I remember feeling unsafe. And I think I feel unsafe like as a woman, but I almost feel like I get a feeling like a more of a paranormal feeling that maybe something happened to someone in the restroom, because I didn't really feel unsafe for my own self. It was just the feeling of being unsafe. It's like you go upstairs, one side's the men, one side's the women, but it's kind of like if a man went up the women's side, there's no way anyone would see it because there's a wall. So it's just kind of creepy, but it's a nice little bar. I used to love going there. And it used to have an old jukebox. We went there just the day we went. The window, there was like a busted out window.
I like the colors on the window and the door. That's what I like.
Yes. And it's kind of they fixed it up a little bit. Not a lot, but it looks nicer on the inside. It looks a little bit more modern.
Yes.
They need to fix those stools though. I was sitting on a stool that was like busted out.
But the windows I'm talking about, it's kind of like almost like an alpine style, but it has like each glass has different colors. I don't know what that's called. I know you probably seen it, and we'll try to insert a photo of it. Yeah. But it's not very well taken care of, but that's I feel like architecturally speaking, I like that, how that looks. And the old sign is gone.
It is.
And that sucks.
It does. He said it broke, right? Well, we talked to the bartender for a little while. What I love about the branch office is like when we walked in, we saw a gentleman that was probably like maybe 10 years older than us, but so not super old, right? On the phone. And then within a few minutes of sitting down, like a very old, a elderly couple came in, like elderly couple came in and sat down, and the man wanted a specific kind of scotch, and they didn't have it, which is not surprising if branch office. And I think they had like one drink and they left, and there was another man that was there that was a regular, and
He's like, I just got out of jail.
so I mean there, and then when I went to the restroom, I came back and there was a pretty fairly young couple. I mean, not young, like my age, like our age couple. So there's a variety of people that go, and that's always nice.
Yeah, so it was cool to see it. I think a biker guy came in after.
When we were leaving, yeah, made us think of our friend Steve.
Yeah, shout out to Steve Doobie.
If you ever listen to one of our podcasts.
I know. You got to send this one to him.
Okay, because since it mentions his name, I'm sure he'll be so excited for it.
Yes. So after that, we drove down to one of the kind of more infamous, it's not even architecturally significant, but it's called Keegans. And I think it was more because in our 20s, and we didn't know each other in our like that era of our 20s, but it was just a place where people, it was a known place everybody would go to for a variety of reasons. But she started going there before me. I started going there maybe 2004. But just a little history. I did look up that Keegan's has been there since 2001. So it's not even like that old.
Are we sure that it hasn't been there longer than that?
No. Well, it could have been another bar, but the family has been owning the Keegan label since 2001.
Wow. So it wasn't that long after I started going.
Yeah.
And it looks like, well, Keegan's now looks absolutely nothing like it used to when I started going. Super modern, sportsy, sleek. I know the owner. She's great. When I started going there, it was under different ownership. It was a different owner. And it was definitely an Irish pub. It was just kind of, I want to say grimy, but everything was green. Everything was shamrocks. And they offered like a very small food selection. And there was a jukebox, like not an old fashioned one, a modern, electrical one. But that was pretty much it. And that was my Cheers bar. That was where I went. That was my spot for many, many years. I mean, through the karaoke, to all the different holidays, to even when it was like club nights. That was the spot to be.
Go ahead.
No, I wanted to finish with at.
Yeah. So I had gone there with a friend to play pool, and then there was karaoke. And then I think it was during that time, remember the DJ Joe?
Yeah.
He used to work at my store that I was working at Vaughn's at the time. And he was a DJ there. So I think he maybe developed a club night on Friday.
He did. I love Joe. He's great, but I'm sure I irritated him so many times because I was one of those up there in the DJ box, like, hey, Joe, how are you? Can you play a song for me all night? So he was probably so irritated with me, but he was always very gracious.
Yeah. So he would play Friday nights, and we would go, everybody, a bunch of different friends that I was hanging out at the time would go. It was like a dancing night, and we did Halloween there one time. And it was pretty popular for many years during those mid 2000s. And I even took my husband there when we first met in 2004. So after that, it just died out, I think. And there was problems and fights and all kinds of stuff after. Shootings.
I've been there multiple times when there was shootings, and it got so bad where they got really strict about people that they would allow in. Like you still to this day can't have like neck tattoos, and they make an exception for me because maybe I'm a woman and I know the owner usually. Yeah. Now there's not usually, maybe on nights when they have events, there's a bouncer, but for a long time they would have bouncers where you couldn't get in until you passed them.
Yeah. So, I mean, Keegan's was just more like a historical time in our lives for a minute, but as far as it's not an old bar, it's nothing really architecturally significant, like I said. But yeah, we just had to bring that up.
And there is paranormal activity there.
Really?
Yes, Wayne and I have seen the same shadow. We were hanging out on the outside couches like they have now, where they have the big screen TVs and stuff on the outside and by the crystal like fire pits or whatever. And we both seen a shadow. Like I guess he saw it and he saw my face move. I've also talked in before that time to the owner, and she did agree when they did all the reconstruction that it's haunted. That when they did the reconstruction, there was all kinds of noises and rappings and things that were unexplainable. But she said that her mom said not to open that door and refused to allow me to investigate. But there's definitely ghosts
Oh,
there.
interesting.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump back real quick to Wilmington because I did forget to bring up Sis's bar. Remember we stopped in front of it and it looked like it was a gated like junkyard.
Yeah.
Well, Sis's bar was something under the stars. I forget, but I don't even know if it was like legit. But it was a bar, and in the front they had like a patio, and they used to always throw events like jungle parties, drum and bass. So a couple of my friends used to DJ there. Ghetto and Madam X. That's where I met them. Not Ghetto, but Madam X. She when I first started seeing her DJ, it was there, in which I want to say it was probably like in 2005, 6. So it's been a while. But that was another like low key kind of place that popped up out of nowhere, and it's gone now. But yeah, Sis's bar. So from Keegan's, we made our way down. Was it Vermont or Normandy?
For which one?
The one where we stopped and it looked all remodeled. By
Oh, that was on Normandy.
Going towards the Walmart?
Yeah, Normandy.
What was it called back then?
I don't remember. I don't remember what it was ever called, because when I encountered that place, I was walking. So that's how long ago it was. Like I passed it because I was walking.
Yeah, we went. I think we went there once. I want to say I don't remember if we did, but I remember going there. There might have been karaoke and popcorn and a big back parking lot where we had a drove in the back, but I don't remember like much at all. Besides that, did you used to go there a lot?
No, I didn't really go there. I just passed by it.
Okay, so yeah, so it looks like it's still open and it's like very modernized, and they did like an outdoor patio, probably because of COVID and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, you know,
check that one
but
out.
it's still like divey because it's in the cut, like it's all industrial around it.
Super industrial. And back then, when I remember it, is when I was walking. So it was before there was a Walmart. I know it's hard to believe, but there wasn't always a Walmart there or anything else on that street. It was all just industrial. And so
The
it's been there
Walmart's
for
on 190th, right?
190th in Vermont. Yeah. I mean, in Normandy, excuse me.
So it's between Carson and 190th on Vermont, right?
It's on Normandy and 190th. Those are the two corners. And Torrance Boulevard is like between Torrance Boulevard and 190th.
Is it the hospital on Carson?
The hospital?
Yeah, isn't it down the street?
Harbor?
Yeah.
Kind of. The hospital's on Vermont. So the hospital's up.
Oh, okay.
And on Carson Street.
Got it. So yeah, it's just another weird cutty bar. So and then after that, we did talk about what was the other one that was close to that?
Patios.
Yes, patios, which I had gone there once when I worked at customer service, like way before college. I think I was probably barely like 22, 23. And I had gone there, and you had gone there before. And it's another
I lived
like,
in
Irish
204. Bar. Yeah, I lived in 204. So it was like the local bar, even though they didn't really encourage or like the locals in there. So I just lived down the street, and me and my friend, not V, another friend, we'd go over there, and she also lived in the same area, and we'd go over there and we'd have like a a San Franciscan burger on sourdough bread with
Yeah.
steak sauce, the A1 steak sauce, and then they had the absolute best Irish nachos. And if you don't know what those are, Google them, and then I highly suggest you make them for your loved one because they will love you forever if you do. And they were the best. And it wasn't
Irish nachos.
Irish nachos.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna thank me. You're welcome. Um, it was kind of low key. So we're talking about the streets of Western and Del Amo. And if you think of Western and Del Amo, the only thing that you can probably picture is Fantastic Cafe.
Yes.
And it's right there. It's on the opposite way from Fantastic, like across the way. And it's kind of low key because it's green and it's got plants, like long viney kind of plants. So if you don't know it's there, then you probably would just think it's like a parking lot because that's what it looks like. It's like a parking lot. And it was a cool little spot. I mean, some of the bartenders were assholes again because they didn't care for local people, meaning like me and my friend. And but for the most part, we were fine, and they had okay alcohol, and they had amazing food.
Yeah, we didn't get to go back that day we were exploring, but I want to go back just to look at the building because it is a very low-key industrial, and it's more of a modern industrial area, but it's just very low-key. So I like that part when it's like random in the cut. So
yeah.
No, so that also it's been closed down for many years, right?
It has been for too many years to even know. Like I wonder if they're ever gonna. I don't know who owns it at this point or what the plan is for it in the future, but it's been closed down for quite a bit.
Yeah, and another one we didn't go to, which is the San Franciscan. It reminded me because you said about the San Franciscan dish that you mentioned.
Yeah, burger. Yes,
Oh,
at Paddy
okay.
O's.
So before me and you went with Wayne, had you gone there a lot before?
Only a couple of times.
So what did you go there for? What was your thing back then?
I think I went with my sister, and we just went to go have a couple of cocktails. And my drink back then, I mean, I had many drinks, but I favored for daytime drinking because it was daytime drinking.
Yeah.
Jack and Coke or a rum and Coke with grenadine. So like a Roy Rogers with Jack Daniels or a Roy Rogers with rum and with multiple cherries, as many cherries as I could get. And my sister and I sat there and we had, a couple of cocktails. It really wasn't our scene. Again, a lot of locals go there. It's more of a locals bar as well.
Was it?
I think it was. It had a restaurant. I didn't eat there until later on. You and I and Wayne went, and then we ate. What did we have? Prime rib.
Yes.
Or steak. Yeah.
So I had gone there with you guys, but I had gone there before. I think with coworkers too, or after. I'm not sure, but they're known for their prime rib. Yeah. So if you want a prime rib that's not like super super expensive, it's not cheap either because dinner was kind of expensive there for this kind of spot it is.
Yeah.
But it's delicious. And I don't know if you want to look it up, but it's been there a while, right? The San Franciscan?
It has been. I mean, as long as I can recall. Another very low key because it's just one of those things that you would, if you didn't see it, you'd drive right past it.
Yeah. I want to say that, I mean, okay, it says here was established in 1963. So it does have a lot of the 60s style, like the red booths. Yeah. And that's what I liked about it.
Like
it has,
pinkish, right?
Yeah. The bar area is like, traditional bar, with a bar and then like tables behind it. And then there's like maybe one or two rooms with like a bunch of booths and like mirrors, like the old mirrors, I believe.
Yeah, very, very old. Like it needs a new, I mean, I know we like to keep things old because of nostalgia, but could probably use a little bit of fresher uppers.
Right. But it even has like, it's so old, it has like a banquet room, like way further in the back. Yeah. A banquet room that's probably hasn't been used and with like that red velvet type of color.
Yeah.
So we had the prime rib, which was delicious, and then I think we have caramelized mushrooms.
Probably.
Remember?
Yeah.
I
That
think
sounds
they
like
were,
something I would eat.
and they had like the bread with the butter, and
Yes. It was really good. It was a good dinner.
yeah, it was delicious. Again, it's not super cheap. I think it's pretty a little pricey, but it's not like Larry's like prime rib or anything. Not the price is not that high, but the quality is good, so it's worth it. If you want to be like in a nostalgia type of place in a red booth.
Yes. Kind of dark,
Yeah, it's very
The
dim.
divey bars are really known for being like low key, dark, and not bright, hard to see what you're looking at. I think it's purposely done that way, obviously.
Yes.
Keep you drinking.
Very dim. And I believe the waiters or waitresses, they're dressed like old style.
I can't recall. I can't confirm that for you, but I can't recall.
Yeah, like with the vest type of thing and the white
With the white shirt,
button up type of thing.
like a blouse.
Yeah. It kind of
maybe
makes they were kind of dressed a little like wanting to be proper because we're having prime rib. But it's really good.
My Roy Rogers and Jack Daniels, please.
So that's another one that we didn't get to pass by, but it's another
I
classic.
pass by it all the time when I take my daughter to work.
Oh, okay. Next time, look.
Yeah.
Sign. So we did end up going to downtown LA for what other stuff, right? And then we came back.
But before we go to downtown LA, I wanted to represent Carson because I wouldn't feel right without representing Carson.
Okay.
And mention the AJ Sports Bar in Keystone right there. Been there multiple times. It is the tiniest bar that you can imagine. They have really good prices.
What street?
Had many on Main Street. Main Street, like major cross streets would be Torrance Boulevard and Carson Street. So like right there in Keystone. So it's the neighborhood bar. Although the only people that I went with were homies that I went with, but the people in there that work there and that are frequent, that when I've gone, it's been years since I've gone, they were just, random people. And it seems like a very cheersy bar for them. Like it's definitely got its clientele that go there specifically. And now, not too far from where I live now, there's Rendezvous. I think it's closed down though, Rendezvous, and that's on Sepulveda. And that bar is definitely divey, and I've been there many times.
Okay, let me pause you on that real quick.
Sure.
Just real quick on what's the name of the other bar on Main Street?
AGA Sports Bar.
AGA?
AJ, like AJ.
Mm-hmm. So that one, I never been in, but I did stop to take a photo one time because it is a tiny Spanish revival cottage that they might have turned into a bar. So it looks like it's from the 1920s because it has a red tile and it looks like it used to be a cottage.
And when you go in it, you like walk up in it and it feels like it doesn't feel very secure. And it's just like a little tiny room with like refrigerators and TVs and a bar. Like it's really tiny, but I'm sure it doesn't have a huge amount of people in there often. So it works for them. In fact, it makes me want to go over there and go have a beer soon. And I don't even ever want beers, but maybe I just want a beer, or maybe I'll have a Red Bull cocktail, a Jaeger bomb cocktail.
Oh my God, you take it back. But just to jump back to Rendezvous, I never been in there. But why is it so long? It's like 20 yards long.
I've been in there multiple times. One time I remember going in there and they had a DJ and everyone was dancing.
So it's big inside?
It's got a big area for dancing. Like they could have multiple tables. Like picture like New Wave Bar, like where the tables are high tables. They could put like a lot of them in Rendezvous. There's like a little stage area, and then there's like a lot of blank space to like dance. I think that's what they do is dance. I remember dancing one time. A lot of my drinking was day drinking and So nothing like that was happening during those times. There was really nothing significant. I remember going to the bar and the bartender would like pour a drink and like take off to like the back. And I'd be like, hey, like, can I get another drink? Like, where are you at? And people would show up. And like, so that bartender from me 100 years ago was not very attentive. And I can't remember that person's name. But yeah, Rendezvous is not that far from me, but it looks like it's closed down every time I see it. So I can only assume that it's done.
Yeah. So that place she's mentioning again, I always seen it and I never passed by it. I mean, I never went in. But okay, so we did go to LA, but we'll do LA last. But we did stop by the last end of the night at the Desert Room.
The Desert Room.
Yes, and this one is in Gardena, and I'll start off with the history of it because we learned some history, which I think is pretty cool, and then we could say our experiences.
Yeah.
So the Desert Room is located on Gardena Boulevard in like Old Town Gardena. Like you could tell it was like the town square of Gardena in its heyday. So because it's still pretty old looking, right? Like everything's like kind of not that modernized, I guess.
The outside buildings?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have that kind of like, I don't want to say Victorian, but like post-Victorian kind of feel.
Yes. So the building that the Desert Room is in was built in 1904. So it's said to be one of the oldest buildings on that strip. So, I mean, 1904 is pretty much turn of the century and it's made out of brick. So it's a very old.
Not only is it turn of the century, but we're looking at like 116 odd years, 18 years, 118 years old.
Yeah. So, and we stopped by in front of it first in the daytime, and like they have the old wooden doors that go up to the top building because the Desert Room's on the bottom, and it just looks like it's been there for 116 years or whatever that is. So we did when we went back, and then we'll talk about when we first went there. But I learned that it actually, from when it first opened, it used to be like a meeting hall upstairs for like Freemasons and different organizations in Gardena. And then there was a grocery store to the right side of it. And on the bottom other side was what was called Daniel's Cafe. So Daniel's Cafe and Desert Room. So there's two parts to this bar, and the left side of it is a thrift shop now, which is a trip. And then the other part is the bar. So Daniel's Cafe, the restaurant, used to be where the thrift shop's at. And then the Desert Room was where the bar is still currently at. So we were told that the Daniel's Cafe was there from the 1930s to the 1940s. And then it just changed to I think it became mostly the Desert Room in the 50s and 60s or the 60s. So that was pretty interesting that it was a restaurant, bar, and then now it's a thrift shop. So yeah, share your history about going there.
So I first found out about Desert Room and was invited to hang out there. If I had to guess, it was like 2010 or 2011. It was another paranormal group that I used to hang out with. That was their spot. And so they told me and I showed up, and immediately I loved and hated it. I loved it because the beer was cheap, talk was cheap, and plenty of beers to slide down the bar, for any pretty looking lady. So it wasn't hard to get a beer, but everyone smoked there. So you're talking about taking a knife and cutting the smoke with it, and you still couldn't breathe. It was just very smoky. Your clothes would smell like cigarettes. You would smell like cigarettes, your hair. But on the flip side, there's always the popcorn. Mm-hmm. You can never go wrong with fresh popcorn.
Yeah, and then we went back way later, right?
We did. What was it, like 4 or 5 years ago we went?
Uh-huh. But you had stopped going way before that?
Well, I mean, when I was younger in my 20s, I frequented bars, as we can see how many bars I've gone to. Um, at some point, things changed where I just wasn't going to bars so significantly. And I went to go hang out with those paranormal friends.
Uh-huh.
But at some point, we kind of lost touch or we stopped, being friends or whatever. And so I didn't go there that often. It wasn't like, I mean, I'd been there a good handful of times, but it wasn't that often. When I went, it was just one long, skinny building. It was just the main room with the bar, the jukebox, the pool table, the bathroom, and the outside. But to my surprise, when you and I went, there was a second room, and it was so bizarre when we walked into the room. Please share why it was so bizarre.
So what I found out this last time is that Betty, she's the owner of the bar. She's been the owner for 30 or 40 years. She runs a thrift shop, or I think this is her second thrift shop because she said she had another one down the way. But so she owns a thrift shop or a vintage shop or what, because there's a lot of vintagey items and whatnot in cases. So she decided to, where the old cafe was at, that room was a thrift shop. So there was like lamps and dressers and couches and tables. And then
Random chairs.
There was big glass cases with like, knickknacks and like jewelry and like all kinds of vintage items.
Tchotchkes.
So it was a trip going there those couple of times. Like, okay, so we could just sit on the furniture and you could buy it if you want.
Yeah. And it was dusty. It was just so random.
Yeah.
It was really dusty and random. I mean, the old desert room was super dusty and grimy. It was really grimy. And yet it trips me out when, a little off topic, people on their stances with like the COVID-19 vaccine. And they're like, we don't know what's going to go in our body. And I was literally eating popcorn with people that had their hands in the popcorn, and I still do. But my point I'm trying to make is we all ate that popcorn, and we just hope that whoever got the popcorn in front of us did not have, germs and washed their hands and didn't scratch their ass or something. But the popcorn was golden, like literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
But now we just went recently.
Yeah. So I had gone there with you, and then I went back like maybe once or twice with JoJo and a couple other friends. And then that's it. And then when we were doing this research, we're like, okay, we got to go back. Cause it was one of those bars, like, I guess it's locals, but it's all, I don't know. It was just, it is a straight dive bar, but it wasn't too creepy or like, it wasn't like Paisa vibes or nothing. It was chill. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah. What I love about the desert room is there seems to be a mixture of ethnicity and ages, and it seems to just flow. Like nobody gives a fuck. Everyone's there to either drink or have fun. When we just recently went, as you said, and there was a huge party of karaoke goers, a huge party of them. And there was people playing pool. There were just people drinking. There was just a different groups, and they were every color of the rainbow and every age you can possibly think of above 21, of course. But
right.
My point is, it's just very diverse, and if I wouldn't say it feels welcoming, like no one says welcome, but it definitely feels like you're fine, like you belong.
Yes. But when we had gone 5-6 years ago or whatever, they were still smoking in there. So
yes,
that kind of was like ew, gross. But now they're not allowed at all to smoke.
Thank goodness.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
And it looks so much more modernized. Yeah. Like they cleaned it up and it looks nice.
Yeah.
Like,
well, they had to wipe down counters and whatnot.
Yes. Well, not just that, but I mean, like they put modern fixtures and things just look bright and modern and clean. Well, not super modern. It still looks old, but it looks way more modern from the last time I went.
Yes. And Betty said she was really sweet. So she was very welcoming and she told me all the history. And I did read that her late husband was the one that bought the bar from when it used to be Daniel's Cafe. So I guess they've been having it for way long. So and then she still has all kinds of display cases of jewelry and like vintage stuff. So she's still trying, you could still buy stuff if while you're at the bar, I guess.
Yeah.
So
And the best part is it's paranormally active. But she refused and is not open to having any kind of an investigation.
did she say that? I don't remember.
Yeah, she did. I was talking to her about it. Yeah.
Oh.
And she said, "Oh yeah, we have activity. You don't remember? I told you." She said, "People say they see a man in there with a red checkered, like a plaid jacket on in the old Daniel's Cafe room."
Oh.
And I said, "Would you be open to a paranormal investigation?" And she said, "Oh no. Oh no. So
yeah.
Unfortunately, I'd have to have an impromptu one while someone's singing karaoke. I don't know how well that'll work.
Right. So at first I was like, Desert Room's kind of grimy, but now it's going back to the second time. I was like, oh, it's not as horrible as I was imagining. It's actually, I think it's minus the smoke that it's cleaner and it's very diverse and they did modernize it. So it's a little bit better.
I feel like they did some painting to it because I don't recall it as much deserty as it looks now, like the outside. Like it has the cactus and it looks very cute on the outside. Like the little... Yeah. I'm sorry, my cat's right here. She might get in the picture. Okay. Oh. I think she's leaving. That's why I got sidetracked. Okay, keep going.
No, that's okay. So after that, just we didn't go to any downtown bars, but we were there yesterday after an event, and we did drive by several of the places that were kind of known in downtown that I remember when I used to live in downtown, and also like in our 20s or my 20s, and they're closed down, like they're shut down.
Yes.
And I think we know it's because of COVID. I mean, the Down and Out, that's gone. Little Easy is gone, which is sad because it was really cute, right?
I really liked Little Easy.
Yeah. And the Art Deco bar at the Union Station, the Western Imperial, it's closed down. And that was like an awesome Art Deco bar because they had like all the fixtures. They really recreated it. And you like the other one right next to it, right?
Yeah. My friend Maritza, I know Maritza won't get mad for me saying her name. She introduced me to that one. I can't remember. Oh, it's the Streamliner. Yeah. Uh-huh. She always called it limo disco because it's long and skinny like a limo, and then in the lights it's kind of like dim, kind of like a disco. Yeah, but they had, I don't know if it's still open. Did you happen to check?
It's not. It's been closed.
Oh.
Yeah.
They had amazing pina coladas that tasted nothing like the traditional pina coladas, and they had pickled little vegetables and stuff that they'd put on your table while you were drinking. It was a great bar. Great. And the Art Deco one's beautiful. And it's really sad.
And the Wolves, which was weird, right? Is it closed or open?
I don't know. They keep on posting like little tidbits on Instagram, kind of like, look at the doors, they're open. And I'm paraphrasing, but they had a photo of like the bar with the gates open, and everyone in the comments are like, well, when are you going to open the doors? And they never answered.
About the Wolves.
The Wolves? Wolves is this gorgeous bar. What is it? Right behind Alexandria Hotel. Mm-hmm. And I think it's connected somehow. I was introduced by my friends Maritza and Gabe, and I have a friend who was doing a book signing there, and about paranormal activity in different famous California locations. And the bar is just gorgeous. The whole location's gorgeous. It's got this Art Nouveau feel with golden, yellows and buttery colors. They have a lot. Their little bartenders, they're all dressed a specific way. I don't know if it's a uniform or they're just told to wear like a certain kind of getup and with their vests and kind of like old dandies. They make amazing smoke drinks, great charcuterie boards. The bathroom's gorgeous. The sink is gorgeous. I can't say how much I love this place enough. And I haven't had hardly enough time to really explore it. I think I've only been there once for the event. I don't think I was able to go again because again, it's in Los Angeles and who wants to you're in the harbor area and to get to downtown LA, it's easily 30 minutes. So unless there's like a big event, you're not going to go look for a quick drink over there. Probably. And, but it's amazing. The booths are really small. But beyond that, it's amazing. It's a gem in downtown LA. And I'm going to be really sad if they like completely close down.
Yeah, so who knows what happened, but I also been there once for your friend. He did the tour of the Alexandria Hotel.
Yeah.
And he had aftermath thing there. So I went there
Craig.
for that.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, it's really beautiful. It's just who knows that if it got really impacted by COVID or they're just teasing everybody. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure it got impacted by COVID. I don't know why they haven't opened yet. Maybe it's because of all the different new, COVID measures that they're taking where you have to be fully vaccinated or whatever to get in. I'm not sure, but hopefully they'll share with us when they're open and we can go check it out sometime.
Yeah. And she didn't go to this one, but I had brought this bar up in the last podcast called King Eddy's. And I just dug a little bit into the history. It probably has a lot of people has done a lot of their own episodes on this bar, but King Eddy's, it was built in 1906 and it was connected to the King Edward Hotel, which was a hotel for like business people, high society people, and they would go to that bar after. So a lot of within the years, a lot of intellectuals and poets. I guess Charles Bukowski used to frequent the bar back in the days, and it was. And during the Prohibition, they have a speakeasy in the bottom, and like I had said before, the top was a piano store, and you probably said a secret code word, and were able to go back to down to the speakeasy. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then like in the 70s and 80s, it really got, because Skid Row's right there. So it got kind of, I guess what they were saying, dangerous. People were doing drugs in the bathroom, all kinds of stuff. There was like a smoking room in there with like glass paneling. You literally go in the room, shut the door, and it's like people smoking there. It was a trip. And it stayed like that till 2012. So I think when we first seen it like that, it was a Skid Row dive bar, and it was back in around 2012. And that was the last probably the last year that it was stayed like that, because it got bought out by this big company, which people were like kind of afraid they were gonna gentrify it, but they did embrace the history and keep the history. But of course, the clientele changed and the prices went up. So
of course,
yeah. So they did try to keep the history. It just wasn't that Skid Row dive bar that I had seen. And so it went from like a fancy bar for intellectuals and elite people, down to more a Skid Row dive bar. And now it's probably back to that. I don't even know if it's back open either, but it's just a lot of actors like Kiefer Sutherland. Just a bunch of people had stopped there during, when it had its heyday.
Over the years.
Yeah. And I guess before originally the design was, they called it was a Victorian saloon meets Western saloon. So I thought you would like that design.
Oh, yes. I live for that design.
Yeah. So, if we ever explore back again, maybe we could stop by and actually look at it in detail if it's still open. I'm Definitely. Not even sure. But that's kind of like we wanted to talk about this because I think it's, it's just these places are historical, not only for our own history of our 20s or whatnot, but also like some of these buildings are historically significant or something about them gives them that character.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So any other places that we forgot, or I think we're pretty good on the list.
I mean, the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head in San Pedro is that one that closed down on 9th Street.
Which one?
The bar that was there that you and I used to go to, and we would be listening to Tina Marie and Prince all day long.
Oh yeah, that was on the corner of 9th and Gaffey, and I can't even think of the name right now. But it had the red booths.
Yeah, it did.
And it had the glass blocks. So like the booth would be there, and then it had glass blocks where you could kind of see the lights of the street. But they turned that into a Starbucks. So long gone.
Long gone. Good memories.
And you want to go to the Crow's Nest, which we want to explore that for. Why do you want to go to that one?
I've been seeing it for over a decade, and I just see it and I'm just like, I want to go. I've been saying that for a decade.
Where's the Crow's Nest at?
In Playa Larga in Long Beach off of Willow.
It's low key area, right?
Super low key. Another one of those divey bars where you drive right past it if you didn't see it. And I've been wanting to go, but the problem is when you hit my age, you just once you get home, it's like forget it. You're not going anywhere else. And if you go anywhere where else, it's like the grocery store or drive through. So yeah, it's hard to get me out like if I'm already in the house. So yeah, but we're gonna have to go sometime and meet there or take a lift from your house or something.
Yeah, and I think now just like all these places we go to, we embrace more of like being present in that moment. It's not like a party thing where we're like, it's just more being present, like hearing the stories, looking at the history, the architecture, whatever it is.
People watching, the demographics.
Definitely. So I think I see it more like that in the exploration way, because yeah, in your 20s, you spend all your money on dumb stuff, and it's just not like that anymore. We had to, we got all these bills to pay now, so it's not like like it was. But I think this was a special episode because we could document this history from not only the bars but our own history, that these stories that we have from through the years.
Yes, and a lot of these places and these locations that we're talking about are significant to our past, which is important for the podcast, but also places like, let's say, Keegans or the Desert Room. Those are historically, even if Keegans was not a bar as long as we thought it was, they're in locations that have been around for 100 years. Yes. So they are significant, and there's definitely paranormal activity surrounding, or not, I don't want to say surrounding, but there's paranormal activity in some of these locations. And there's something about dive bars where you just get people at their worst or their best, or they're just authentically themselves. I don't think anyone really goes into a dive bar and says like, I'm going to pick up a guy or I'm going to pick up a girl. I think that you go in there to like unload and to like just have a drink. And I think that, being in that moment, there was something really special about dive bars. And now I can look at it in a different perspective because I'm not trying to get drunk, and, hangovers do not feel the same way at my age anymore. So
yeah, so definitely a historical perspective. So if you guys have your favorite spots that you heard from our episode, if you live in the Harbor area or even the downtown LA spots, definitely share. We would love to hear in the comments, and we could shout you guys out next time. But we would like to hear your stories. Or
we would.
What's your favorite?
Were we at Keegan's together? Did you see me doing karaoke? If you did, keep that shit to yourself, okay? Everything else, let's hear. But yeah, tell us, and we'll be happy to discuss it. And like she said, shout you out next episode.
Future episode or something.
Yeah.
But thank you for listening. And if you want to follow me, I'm on swapme_chronicles on Instagram. We do have the podcast Instagram page too on Beyond the Facade Podcast. And then we try to also do the videos on YouTube. It's a little slower on that. I'm sorry. It's still something where I'm learning and we're learning. But, audio is going to be on all platforms. You want to shout out your...
Sure. You can check out my page at observing_spooks_ and other vices. I guess you can check me out too at Sabrina the Grown Up Witch, and I don't remember where the underscores are, but they're there. They're somewhere there. But if you find Observing Spooks, I'm sure because it's a connected page, you'll find me, and we'll try to keep you updated on the newest stuff.
Cool. Well, thank you. See you guys next time, or hear you guys next
Bye.
time. Bye.
Yes. Bye.